In 1541, King Henry VIII of England was about to wage war against the French. A plan was made to use Folkestone as part of the embarkation to supplies and troops. He sent a master tuck and a master captain of Sandgate to look for a site for the new harbour. Plans were made but never implemented. On May 2nd, 1542, the king came to Folkestone, but then headed to Dover on the 6th of May, and the Folkestone Harbour plan was abandoned. In 1703, a heavy storm swept away one of the fishing boats on a shingle beach and damaged many other boats. Also, several houses had their foundations undermined as the beach was carried away. An engineer from Romney Marsh advised the local fishermen that construction of 3 timber-stone jetties would protect the cliff below the parish church. The work cost the fishermen £600, but in a storm in 1724 the 3 jetties were demolished and damaged, costing up to £1,100 was done. In 1719, Edward Hasted noted 8 out of 10 lugger boats used for herring and mackerel fishing, plus 30 smaller fishing boats, which were catching plaice, sole, whiting and skate and others, employed up to 200 or 300 men and boys. The fish was then taken to the London markets. It remained a small fishing community with a seafront that was continually battered by storms, and the encroaching shingle made it hard to land the boats. The loss of life, boats and damage to fishermen's housing was a constant threat. In 1804, the Earl of Radnor had petitioned Parliament for the construction of a stone harbour. In 1807, an Act of Parliament was passed to build a pier and harbour, which was built by Thomas Telford in 1809. In 1810, a new harbour of sandstone was complete, and by 1820, a harbour area of 14 acres had been enclosed. Folkestone's trade and population grew slightly, but development was still hampered by the sand and silt from the Pent stream. The harbour company invested heavily in removing the silt with little success, and in 1842 the company became bankrupt and the government put the derelict harbour up for sale. It was bought by South Eastern Railway, which was then building the London to Dover railway line, and from June 1843 base for the ferry service to Boulogne, and after a successful trial by the steam packet Water Witch, George Turnbull was responsible in 1844 for building the Horn Pier. Dredging the harbour and the construction of a rail route down to it began almost immediately, and the town soon became South Eastern Railway's principal packet station for the continental traffic to Boulogne. In 1849, the harbour was used by up to 49,000 passengers, and being served by the Folkestone Harbour Railway Station opened that year. In 1860, the quay was built and a new fish market was opened on the 2nd of August 1862. During the 19th century, the harbour was importing coal, timber, ice being unloaded in the inner harbour. Chalk for lime burning was being exported. Many of the ships in this export-import trade were registered in Folkestone. At the end of the century, the pier was extended by 900 feet to form a sheltering arm with berths for steamers. Applied staging was constructed from the existing end of the pier from which the grabs could operate to remove the silt. Diving bells were used to level up the hard rock, and then Portland cement blocks up to 20 tons in weight were used to build the foundations. Above the low water line, granite facings were used. As each section was completed, the staging was removed and redeployed for the next section. During World War I, the harbour became a huge embarkation point for the British troops heading to France and the Western Front. It was recorded that 10,463,834 military mail bags were handled. The harbour also handled 120,000 war refugees. In the 1920s, the sail ships had been replaced by steamships who were used in the outer harbour. The inner harbour had then started being used by a small private craft. During World War II, the port closed to civilian boat usage, and 44,000 personnel used the port during the Dunkirk evacuation, filling up to 80 trains heading to London. And in 1945, cargo services returned to the harbour and ferries went to Calais and Belgium. On the 1st of August 1946, the SS Auto Carrier started carrying cars to Boulogne. July 1947, the Folkestone-Boulogne service resumed after a winter break. Over 67,000 passengers had used the service. In 1960, the services were very popular and were carrying over 800,000 passengers, 438 cars, 276 lorries or commercial vehicles. In 1971 to 72, a roll-on, roll-off ramp was built for two new ships, Hengst and Horse. By 1972, the Folkestone to Boulogne, Calais and Ostend services were carrying up to 1,266,783 passengers, 913,160 cars, 5,533 commercial vehicles, and 31,594 freight vehicles, lorries and trucks. In 2001, all ferry services stopped. During this time, the fishing industry was going through various changes, and by 2002, only 10 boats with 30 men were employed in the fishing industry. In 2010, a plan was commissioned for the development of the harbour and seafront from architect Sir Terry Farrell and Partners. An outline planning permission was granted in summer of 2013. Clearance of redundant and dilapidated buildings took place in 2014-15, and stonework and original steelwork of the harbour arm had been carefully restored so that the area could be open to the public as a new pier and promenade of summer 2015. Much of the former fairground site is being used for a car park and the temporary recreational use, whilst preparations continued for the rest of the development. A plan was developed for the Remembrance Line Association, which was based on the Retaining Harbour Railway and its station as a major heritage tourist operation or Leaving for War museum, giving significance of the Folkestone Harbour branch in both world wars, which is important to the Allied and Commonwealth nations. The harbour railway station, unused by regular trains since 2000, has succumbed to nature, and the office of the railway regulator confirmed the permanent closure of the branch line in summer 2014. Folkestone is a resort town in the southeast of Kent, known today for the Channel Tunnel, but formerly a popular seaside destination for holidaymakers. The older part of the town is a lovely mix of Georgian buildings, cobbled streets and a long sweeping promenade along the seafront. As always, folks, if you enjoyed the video, please give us a like, comment on the content, and if you're not subscribed already, just hit the subscribe button and the little bell so you get notifications when we drop some more videos. Thank you very much for viewing. We do appreciate your visit, and come again. Until next time, cheerio.